Hello folks, a special hello to student teachers and teachers. In this video, I'm going to be talking to you about the first thing is the teacher should always divide the board into smaller portions before he or she starts writing the notes. If it's a very large board, the teacher can divide the board into 3 portions. Well, if it's a regular size, then it can be made into 2 portions. The second is the teacher should just write the topic or maybe the first line of the given notes. Then the teacher should do a survey check, as in the teacher should ask the students whether they have their necessary stationery and whether they've started writing. So the teacher will have to walk in between the benches or maybe right around the class to ensure that everybody is geared up to start the writing assignment. After the survey check, the teacher can go on to start writing the notes. Here again, the teacher should not fill up the entire board. When students look up to the board and when they look to their notebook and go up again to look at the board, they are likely to jump lines, they are likely to repeat sentences, they are likely to omit words. So the teacher should take it one step at a time, maybe 2 or 3 lines, wait, get the class going into your pattern of writing. Again, the teacher can take a survey check, as in who has completed along with me, who is just in the second line or third line. When you do this, students understand that they need to speed up their work. And those who wrote on time with the teacher will be proud that they are able to keep up with the teacher. Now, these things must be done mandatorily every time when you do any kind of writing assignment, because if you don't do this survey check, the teacher walking in between the benches or right around the class, then the teacher will have a very tough time correcting the notebooks, because every notebook will have an error and the teacher will have to cut out the wrong statements or words and write it in red ink. And when the same notebook goes home, the parents are not going to be happy with the child's work because it's going to be filled with red ink. So a little bit of care and a little bit of guidance is required throughout the writing process. Another technique which really worked out for me was I used to have bench leaders, or otherwise called row leaders. Now these leaders will be responsible to see that the members who are seated on their bench complete the written assignment. And those who haven't completed, the row leader will have to signal the teacher. The teacher can ask the row leaders whether all the members have completed. Well, if they haven't completed, then the teacher can give them some more time. In case there are about 3 children in each row, or at least majority of the rows who haven't written, it is a clear indication that the teacher should slow down. Each class will be trained differently because they come from various other teachers in the past. It's after your intervention you will have to make progress with improving handwriting, enhancing their speed, writing clearly, writing on time, etc. And most importantly, the teacher should be a role model of neat and clear handwriting. And for this, the teacher needs to practice meticulously. Maybe a shortcut for the moment would be to write on a rolling board well in advance and then take it to class and display it. But I do not recommend you going by this unless if the teacher has no other choice. Also, when the teacher corrects the notebooks, if the correction is extended, maybe the duration is taking more than what is required, then it's a signal that there's something wrong with the writing process. Because the teacher is going to spend about 10 minutes for each notebook, it's an alarm. The teacher should be able to correct the notebooks speedily with less red inks. This is a clue that the writing procedures are good. In a nutshell, the teacher has to give out the necessary vibes, as in when it comes to writing assignment, the student should write neatly, clearly, write along with the teacher, write just like the teacher, provided the teacher has good handwriting. Another technique which I used to use, particularly if majority of the students in the class did not have good writing, I would just draw something on the board, for instance a house or a bird, and ask my students to color. But before that, I will ask them to watch me coloring, wherein I would go with the stroke formation, because I always encouraged my children to develop cursive writing. So the stroke formation starts always from down to top. So I would color the particular diagram or image from down to top. So I'll pay attention to the stroke formation. Likewise, I will urge my students to follow the same stroke formation and complete the coloring. Now, I usually don't go in for big diagrams because it can be time consuming. Approximately in a class of 60, I should have about 7 or 8 row leaders, and I will ask the row leaders to walk around, see if their members are using the correct stroke formation. Through this, the row leaders also developed responsibility, and as a result, the other members also developed the need to respect their leader and to be on par with the others so as to enable the row to win. And I used to do this survey check, as in to ask if students have written with me, and if the entire row had written with me, I used to award that row a star or a merit, depending on whatever was the pattern I predicted in the very beginning of the academic year. So this motivates the students to improve themselves, because self-improvement contributes to the success of the entire row or the group. I also used to consider partner leadership, wherein the student would have a right partner as a leader and a left partner as a leader, and these two leaders will check the work of the student, and the student who is in the middle will also have to check their work. So this actually helped me to streamline the pattern. It helped me to enhance the speed of the class in terms of writing. It reduced corrections, and students started enjoying it because it was more like an activity for them. The teacher can also give them stars or write some compliments when they do neat, clean and error-free writing assignments. When the notebooks are distributed, the students will quickly turn to see the last page, that is the page where I have signed, and if anything is written or any stars are given. And if it is given, the stars would be tallied onto the major scoreboard. For example, if the student has got a star below my signature, it means it was neat, clean and very good writing work. Therefore, the star was given, and I would compliment that child by giving him a point or maybe some type of encouragement because of his good work. And whichever group this child belongs to, that group will also get a point. So through this, I encourage students to improve self for the benefit of self as well as for the benefit of the team. And as leaders also learn to be responsible for self as well as be responsible for the members of their team. You also need to observe the child in various other situations. If the history record is filled with red ink most often, then you can check with the other subjects, whatever you teach or maybe other teachers teach. Check and see if he or she is making the same number of mistakes. Then if it is a common issue, then you may have to call the parent and address it. Sometimes it may be due to some vision problem or maybe some other problem. So you'll have to sort it out. What I'm recommending is find out if there is a pattern or if it's just occurring once or twice. So once you establish this, then you have the answer. Another thing is you need to make children understand that when the written work is completed, they should not be erasing. Instead, they should turn the page. You should draw a margin on the board. Try to replicate your board work that is very close in resemblance to their notebook. If the students are using ink pens for the first time, the teacher has to give a demonstration as in how to fill the ink pen, what is an ink filler, what is an ink pot, how to use a rag or maybe a cloth to clean up the mess, how to use an ink eraser, how to use the whitener. These are little demonstrations which the teacher should give to students. If not, sometimes students may end up using spit to clean up the mess. One important learning during this process is to teach children, if they do not have an ink eraser or a whitener, to just cut off their mistakes. Just strike it once and proceed with the next. Through this, we are teaching them that mistakes are acceptable. Mistakes can be overlooked. It is okay to make a couple of mistakes because it is maybe due to the slip of mind, wrong spelling or misunderstanding of the teacher's handwriting or other reasons. And I'm saying this out of my experience of handling the very young learners at school as well as adult learners at college. Initially, you may have some challenges, but once you set the tone of the class will cooperate very well. Students should get the message that when it is your period, when it is your writing assignment, when it is your activity, they should be able to respond according to what you want them to. And all this begins with good training, with the right motivation and a lot of love and care. As long as the student is able to understand why you're doing it, then there shouldn't be a problem. I'll see you soon.